Hey, welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am Pastor Joe Fox, and you know that because I have a cup of Joe in my hand, which I drink through a straw so I don't get it all over my mustache. Go figure. Hey, in today's video, I'm going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about these knives here, part of my collection of knives. Going to go over them a little bit, and we're going to talk about hobbies. We're going to talk about bushcrafting. We're going to talk about you. How about that? As I was preparing to shoot this video, I started thinking about hobbies. And I thought, wow, what a novel concept. It's cool if one has a hobby or two, because what that shows is that one has free time and disposable income. I used to have hobbies. And then I moved out here to live this neo-pioneer homesteader lifestyle, and I honestly, I don't have time for hobbies anymore. I've got real life going on all day, and I don't have time. I work basically from sun up till sundown, and then I go to bed. So, you know, there's that. That's me. That's not you. But that was the kind of thing about hobbies. But if you have a hobby or hobbies, I would recommend, suggest, hope, implore, exhort you to pick a hobby that would be beneficial to you when this whole thing that we call society falls apart. When, you know, the world is not as it was. And yet you've had this hobby for a couple years that puts you in good stead. One of those hobbies out there is bushcraft. And I shot a video. I don't know if I shot it for YouTube or if I shot it for Patreon, but I think it was titled something like Bushcrafting, Why I Don't and Why You Should. If it's on YouTube, you should look it up. You can just search in my little title box. But I think bushcrafting is a good hobby, and I watch a lot of bushcrafting channels. I'm not subscribed to many, but I get in a mood and when I'm on electricity somewhere and I kind of watch, you know, 8 or 9 bushcrafting videos. And I have thought at times of doing bushcrafting videos here on High Prairie Acres. You know, building the bushcraft super camp and, you know, going out there and cooking breakfast and, you know, that kind of thing. Because I like them, just like those of you who like those videos like them. You know, I live a little vicariously through them also, and things like that. And I know how to do all that stuff. But I think bushcrafting is a good hobby for those of you who can do it, because it's basically, to a degree, wilderness survival skills, definitely wilderness living skills. And if you can go make yourself comfortable out in those woods, with just a saw and a knife, you know, some basic things, a tarp, and actually make a little nice place, and cook food and start fires and keep warm and keep dry relatively. If you can do all those things, that's going to put you in great stead when you have more stuff at your disposal to use, and still there's no electricity, or there's no money, or there's bad guys running around, or there's disease out there. You know what I mean? You will have these skills that will help you really survive, as opposed to just having a cool weekend. I used to collect tactical knives when I was in the military, and then I got into collecting these bushcraft knives, and this is just some of them that I have, and I thought I'd just show them to you quickly, and you can kind of, you know, I like looking at people showing their stuff. I just got this one given to me from a friend and brother. And it's an SE, it says it on there, I don't know if you can see that or not, an SE 6, I think it's called. I've got to put my cheaters on to see. Yep, an SE 6. It's about this big, probably 6 inches, right? I love the handle on it. I put this paracord lace on it. I just like everything about this knife. He had it engraved for me with a biblical phrase. The handle feels really good. This is big as bushcraft knives go, but it's thick. You could baton with it, you know, katonk, 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 splitting a bigger piece of wood into smaller wood so that you can make a fire or something like that with it. You could notch with it and do all those things. I like the Bushcraft, I call it that. I don't know what other people call it. The Bushcraft curve belly on knives. I like knives with belly because it gives you more slicing ability. This is a stout knife. I clearly haven't even cut anything with it yet. Just got it recently. Comes in a good sheath. So I like it, right? That's that one. This is a Tops that I bought. I did a review on this knife early on in my YouTube days. I've had it for a while. It comes in a great sheath. I like Kydex sheaths. You know, they don't look Kephart-ish or, you know, Bushcraft lore-ish like a leather one does, but it's better for the knife, right? A leather sheath gets wet and it can, you know, hurt your knife, right? Like all what I call Bushcraft knives, and that one, the SC2, it has a full tang all the way through it. I put this 550 cord on there, and I'll show you the sheath more in a minute. I guess we were talking about the sheath. We'll just keep going. I don't really like this clip on it, but it seems to work. It's like a holster clip, and it'll rotate, you know, so you can wear the knife differently. So that's okay. It is Kydex. It's loud. If you don't like it loud, glue leather over it, right? And it comes like a lot of Bushcraft knives do with a, this is ferrocerium and magnesium. I struck it a little bit, I think, in the first video. And it comes with a whistle, which a lot of Bushcraft knives do. Help, I'm over here. So that's not really Bushcrafting, that's more like survival. And I have it there now, but I would never wear it like this because it would get caught on something and rip off, and isn't that annoying? It's annoying me just sitting here. So there's that. It's the Tops. I don't know what it's called. Fieldcraft. The Tops Fieldcraft. It's hefty. It's heavy. It has a divot back here for working your ferro rod. It has a divot right here, which I haven't used yet, for using it for a bearing block for your bow drill fire. The handle is comfortable. It has jibbing right here for your thumb, and again, it has what I call the the Bushcraft blade, right? It's stout. It's a very stout knife, and I've used it a little bit, but not much. And I'm gonna get to that. All right, so that's that one. And then I bought my brace of Ridgebacks is taking off. I bought the Condor, and I don't know if it's called the Bushcraft knife or not. I really like this knife. It came with a shiny blade, and you can find this on YouTube too. I did the vinegar treatment on it to turn it black, and it worked really good. Basically what you do is you wrap the blade in soaked paper towels that are soaked in white vinegar, and then I just wrapped aluminum foil around that, and you let it sit there for a couple hours, take it off, and boom, it's all black. I thought that was pretty cool. I actually really like the way this knife feels. It has a good gripping. It's a wooden handle, and again, it's a full tang knife also. It has a good grip on it. It's short, it's really light, and I like light because normally day to day I carry a Mora 2000 around, which is kind of like a Bushcraft knife too, right? And I use the heck out of that knife. And of course I don't have it here because I have my different pants on right now. Comes in a good leather sheath. What I really like about their sheath is this. It lets the knife just hang from your belt and move around. I actually like that. And then it comes with or I think I had to buy it extra when I bought it. I think the holster came like this, but you had to buy the ferro rod separate, I think. I don't remember. But it's got a good ferro rod and then a striker, which you really don't need. You can use the knife for a striker. And supposedly it also has a whistle built into it, but I tried it before I did this video. Doesn't work that good, right? So there's that. Those are Bushcraft knives. They vary greatly in price, and you know, people are making $1 bazillion selling Bushcraft stuff. If you have the disposable income and you want to do that, cool. This knife I used to use. Oh yeah, so let me talk about using. I haven't used any of these 3 knives yet. right? I haven't. I just bought them. I liked them. I opened them up, you know, and I'm like, oh, these are cool. And then I set them aside. Actually, I hung them up on a nail because I haven't had time to go out and do any bushcrafting yet because I'm too busy for the hobby, right? I'm hearing something up there, sorry. Oh, look at the squirrel. So I haven't really used these, but I want to. And I'm thinking maybe, you know, you can always make plans, right? You want to make God laugh? Tell him your plans. I'm thinking maybe this fall when the chiggers and ticks go away, that I may go make a bushcraft camp and do some things. And so then I'll be using those knives and sticking them in logs and, you know, cutting things and close up and, you know, people will like it. But this knife right here, I actually used at least once a month because we went camping every month when I was a Boy Scout Scoutmaster, and I would wear this around my neck like this and it would hang down. And basically what this is a Mora #1 that I glued leather to the outside of the cheap plastic sheath that they come in, hung it on a thong, and a brother of mine put two long like blood tubes, because he worked in medical, 2 blood tubes in here that are stuffed with Vaseline cotton balls for my fire. And then I have a little Boy Scout ferrocerium rod and a piece of hacksaw blade for striking. And that's how I used to make my fires. And then the knife itself, these come with a red wooden handle, and I mildly ground on it and modified it and took the paint off and covered it. I put a piece of bicycle inner tube on it because you can slice a donut, a thin donut of that, hold it from the end of your knife and light it, and it burns hot and long to get your fire going. I blued the knife blade, and I've used the heck out of this knife. And one time I was sharpening this knife while watching, I think, a Ron Hood, you guys remember him? A Ron Hood video, and I was just sitting on my couch sharpening it, and oh man, it makes me hurt to tell this story. I was putting a piece of this on here, forcing it on with my thumb and getting it right, and my thumb slipped, and I cut my thumb to the bone on this thing. Yeah, emergency room, had a big old band-aid on that thing forever, stitches. This thing is razor sharp. It's little, right? Doesn't look like much, and this knife only cost, man, I think when I bought it, $9 or something. It's a great knife. Now, you wouldn't baton with it, right? But man, I use this knife for everything. I also carried a bigger knife in my rucksack for doing the heavier tasks. So, you know, bushcraft knife. What's a bushcraft knife? I say it's a knife you use in the bush, right? I bought these 2 knives for my wife. I actually got them out of the kitchen. I don't remember what this one's called. I think I might have even got it on Bud K or Atlanta Cutlery or something. It was relatively inexpensive. It came black like that and has a plastic handle on it. But you know, this would make a decent field knife. And I also got it because I've taught my wife how to fight with a knife. And this one has everything I like about that. It has the point in the center. It still has belly. It's long enough. It's really sharp. And so, you know, if she's got one in her hand or nearby when she's in the kitchen, muy bueno. Then this one, probably really one of the original bushcrafting knives, Old Hickory. Full tang, decent thickness, wicked sharp carbon steel. I also did the vinegar treatment on this one, and you can tell by it being washed and stuff more and more, it's not as dark as the one that I just did the vinegar treatment and don't use. These knives are really cheap. Just look up Old Hickory knife online. I don't know, $9 too. And it's a good knife, man. This is the kind of knife, this or the boning knife that I also bought my wife, that the Indians actually used to use and the mountain men used to use. You know, Green River knives, they didn't really come into being until the mountain men were going out. So, you know, they didn't really use them. They used butcher knives, man. This was their bushcraft knife. So, you know, $9, $200, you know, I don't know. There, not trying to sell any of them, I'm just showing you them and letting you think about them. Here's the thing. Bushcrafting is a wonderful skill set to have, hobby to pursue, but please don't fall into the American sickness of consumerism and think that you have to go spend all this money and get your special bushcrafting knife and your special bushcrafting pot and your special bushcrafting tarp, and I want the pants like Survival Lily wears, which I actually would love, but they cost like a bazillion freaking dollars. You know, I need those pants to go bushcrafting. I just want them because they look cool. Or, you know, the bushcrafting this, bushcrafting that. Man, you don't need any of that stuff to go bushcrafting. And I would really like, if you don't own those skills of bushcrafting, if you could not grab a knife and maybe a fire starter and go walk out into those woods and set yourself up today, I wish you'd start. I wish you'd start bushcrafting. I wish you'd start watching more of those videos and going and trying to do some of that stuff. Even if you just start out in your backyard. Go in your backyard and make a feather stick. I don't know what that is, Pastor Joe. Okay, look it up. Watch enough bushcrafting videos, you'll know. Go cook dinner or lunch or breakfast over a fire. Again, you can do this in suburbia. You know, we can't have fires where we live. Can you have a charcoal grill? Because if you can have a charcoal grill, you can have a fire. Just build a fire in your Weber grill, right? You can do that. Learn about shelter, learn about preparing food, learn about making yourself comfortable in the bush, right? Bushcrafting. And so I recommend it to y'all. I really do. You should have good knives, but you really only need one or two. You know, clearly I've got enough bushcrafting knives here to outfit a squad, right? Maybe someday I will. Don't fall for the trick. You could literally go grab a blanket, preferably wool, off the bed, grab a knife out of the knife block or drawer, and you know, a metal frying pan and a metal cup and plate, spoon, and go, right? I mean, that's what Kephart did. Oh, you got to buy the Kephart knife, and it costs $400. Come on, man. Just take a knife. Right? Don't fall for the crass consumerism, commercialism. Go get to the essence of the skills. Other hobbies that are good. I'll tell you a quick story and then I'll get off because we're getting long. I do this every day on Patreon, by the way. There's a shameless plug. I'll put a link down below. I was going to graduate school in California, and I had 3 hobbies at the time. I was shooting competitively, handgun, IPSC and IDPA, and I was running long distance. I was starting to run ultra marathons, so pretty far, and I took up golf while I was there, and I started learning how to golf. And you know, with all those sports, I had all the things. Right? You know, competitive shooter, I had all the stuff. Golfer, I was starting to get all the stuff. Runner, believe it or not, all you need to run is a good pair of shoes, really. But I had all the stuff, right, for running, because America. And then I just got too busy with schoolwork, and something had to give. Now we're talking about hobbies and you. Using me as an example. And so I looked at my 3 hobbies that were all taking time during the week. And I thought, for me at the time, because I was a Special Forces soldier at the time, taking a little sabbatical to go to graduate school, but I was going to get right back into it. The way I looked at it, the ability to run far could help save my life someday. The ability to shoot my handgun super well could help save my life someday. And the ability to golf, might get me promoted. One of those got to go. Golfing went out the window, sold my clubs, and you know, life as we know it continues. Pick a hobby that'll help you, right? Men and women, pick a hobby that will help you. The cool thing about hobbies is there's usually a lot of people who know more about it than you do. Just keep trying to avoid, keep pulling yourself back from, that person is better at this hobby than me, and they have this thing, therefore I need that thing to get good. Sewing machines come to mind. My stepmom is a award-winning quilter, I think nationally award-winning. She's been quilting forever, been in quilting circles and stuff. It's her hobby. She just got the sewing machine. It's the best sewing machine you can have. She just got it though. She won her awards on a regular sewing machine, or hand doing it or whatever. Because some quilts you can sew, and some quilts you got to do the whole thing by hand. It's a quilting thing. I'm not in it. But my point is, she didn't get the stuff and then get good. She got good and then got the stuff. I think that's a good way to go. Get good. Do the best you can with what you have, where you're at. I'll see you out there.